Grew up doing the spirit bomb? Naruto running in school? Or sending people to the shadow realm? Yeah, so did this guy.
This is the best version. Absolute pioneer. You know what? Just read the manga.
Heart Talks Anime, only on Pilaf Entertainment.
Pilaf.
Four Kids, Fox Kids, and WB Kids. These companies have had complex relationships with cartoon and anime fans over the years. If you're watching this, you probably already know about the dub changes, the censorship, and so much more. But these companies still had an enormous influence on all of Western anime culture. I still don't think we would be where we are today with anime being as big and as mainstream as it is if we didn't have them. But with that said, hello my humans out there in the interweb, my name is Hart. And this is what 4Kids and WB Kids did right. I'm in a bit of a different recording situation right now, so yeah, please don't make fun of me. Also, much love to ConnerTheWaffle and Sasha the Brat for inspiring this video. They're both amazing. Please go check out their channels. Now, I think everybody knows the drill by this point. Let's take it back to actually the 70s to where both companies got started. Not WB, they were a little later.
We created a fake DVD because we had no footage yet from the show. So we renamed the characters, right? You know, so the character and we named the kid we call him Ash Ketchum, wherever that name came from. So with this, the video was about his aunt saying that all Ash does is stay in the basement playing Pokemon. Doesn't come out ever. And we did a whole story about what the game was about without really physically having any footage. We had certainly cards. We had certainly, things of that ilk. And we sent 1 million tapes out. That was a lot of money, 1 million tapes in 1992. And, the kids started watching the show. We got calls from the station saying that it's like the kids are getting up and watching it. It's doing better at 5 o'clock in the morning than our shows do at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, so to be clear, there is a difference between 4Kids Entertainment and 4Kids TV. We'll get to that difference in a second. The company's origin actually started in 1970, where it was originally called Leisure Concepts, and they were an independent licensing agency out of New York City, really getting their start in the early 80s. Throughout the decade, they would start to hit their stride, licensing products, concepts, and even actual actors, in this case to mainly sell toys. On the animated/video game side of things, they ended up having access to a large number of Nintendo characters, and characters like the Hulk. Now in the 90s, this is when things would change. They started to produce TV in 1992, and would actually split the subsidiaries. There was now Summit Media Group and 4Kids Productions. Now I don't have time to get into Warner Brothers, so I'm just going to assume you know who they are by this point. So with that, we're going to fast forward all the way to 1994, when the plans for WB Kids started to take place. This was mainly to compete with Fox Kids, a Saturday morning cartoon block that had started in 1990. With this and the very early stages of the 4Kids TV programming block starting to be planned, Kids WB wanted to throw their hat in the ring. They ended up launching in 1995, and they also would have some weekday blocks that would rerun older cartoons, and also would have some new original programming, like Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries, Freakazoid, and new episodes of the Animaniacs. And it was truly a neck and neck race, mainly between WB Kids and Fox Kids throughout the 90s, even down to having classic rivalries like Superman and Batman, with Fox holding the rights to Batman the animated series, and Kids WB having the rights to Superman the animated series. Another really big acquirement was Fox had the entire rights to the Power Rangers, with that being a heavy hitter from 1993 basically until its closure. But something changed in the super late 90s. Like, Really, late 90s, 1998 and after. Due to other programming blocks like Toonami starting to hit their stride, and just Western culture in general starting to be interested in Japanese culture, we started to see the rise of anime, truly for the first time in the West. Anime up until this point was still super niche. Toonami was really something groundbreaking, and was one of the only official ways you could watch these shows, other than DVD box sets. But even those wouldn't start to hit really big popularity until the early to mid 2000s. September 28th, 1998 was when the United States officially got Pokemon Red and Blue. And this is when 4Kids Entertainment and Kids WB decided to strike together. With 4Kids Entertainment dubbing and Kids WB producing on their network, they created the Pokemon English dub. What can I say about this that truly has not been said already? This was pretty much the launch of Pokemania across the world. By the early 2000s, they now had really both hit their stride, with 4Kids TV actually launching in 2002. But this is when we would kind of split off and get the next rivalry. In 2001, the Walt Disney Company and Fox decided to do a joint venture. This effectively got rid of the programming block. 4Kids Entertainment would actually help produce Foxbox, but this was basically 4Kids TV. But because Kids WB basically acquired the rights to 4Kids, they were technically the ones who had all of the anime in the beginning. Things like Cardcaptor Sakura, Astro Boy 2003, and of course Yu-Gi-Oh! Would all air. Meanwhile, on Foxbox/4Kids TV, they would air the likes of Kirby's Right Back Atcha, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Sonic X, and of course, One Piece. Now, let's get into the things that I believe they did right. It's not a lot, but here are some things that I think.
What'd you do that for?
Because I don't like your attitude. You're just a jewel thief, so you wouldn't know. Ugh, instead of being so nasty all the time, maybe you could try being nice to me once in a while, and then maybe I wouldn't find you so unlikable. As it is now, you're as sour as a truckload of lemon.
Then don't hang out with me!
Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. Overall, yes, the 4Kids voice acting and dubbing is truly infamous. The awkward delivery, the weird voice choices, and of course, the dub changes. Say it with me now. These donuts are great. Jelly-filled are my favorite. Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut. With all that said, though, take something like Sonic X for example. These voices would go on to be the voices that we got in the video games for basically the next decade. Jason Griffith as Sonic.
See? That's why I can't stand water.
Dan Green as Knuckles.
Because I've got a natural knack for finding things.
Lisa Ortiz as Amy.
There's nothing wrong with you. You're great. I was joking. Please don't cry, okay?
And my personal favorite voice for Rouge, Kathleen Delaney.
This area's off limits, slugger.
This and the entire cast are all amazing voices for these characters. Sticking with video games, another one is Kirby Right Back Atcha. I truly didn't think that there was a time where I was watching this and I felt like somebody didn't fit. Believe it or not, Ted Lewis actually voices King Dedede and Escargoon. Look at the range here.
You don't get up for anything anymore.
Oh yeah, by the way, did you put in that tater chip order yet?
It wasn't supposed to go like this. We wanted to track Kirby, but the king's become a junk food fanatic.
Literally both characters fit extremely well. Carrie Williams and Casey Rogers as Tiff and Tuff are also cast perfectly.
Quiet, Kirby. Be quiet or they'll Tough. I know you're scared, but you still have to go. I'm not scared. I just don't want to go.
And Amy Birnbaum as Kirby. I legit want to cry. He is so cute. Even something that I didn't really watch that much like Winx Club, I feel like every single one of these characters are portrayed perfectly by their actors. My personal favorite is literally Kiki Palmer as Layla.
I'm from the realm of tides. I can turn water molecules into any shape.
Now, let's get into the ones that are pretty infamous. Pokemon and One Piece. My hot take about Pokemon is... pretty much every voice is great. No, I'm not backing down on this one. No. Another crazy voice acting range moment is Rachel Lillis and Eric Stewart literally voicing Brock and Misty as well as Jesse and James. Especially when it comes to Team Rocket, I mean, I don't know if there's anything I can really say. Their over-exaggerated, over-the-top delivery is genuinely iconic.
Think about it. How many of the girls who you've fallen madly in love with have ever fallen madly in love with you?
Not one.
Take it from me, it's a lot easier to like someone who likes you than to like someone who doesn't.
How do you know?
Whoever said beauty doesn't last must have been thinking of us.
I'll always remember what a wonderful dresser you were.
So will I.
And of course, Veronica Taylor as Ash.
Are you guys trying to be funny? Your routine really isn't working for me.
This is the OG Ash voice, and I don't see any problems with it. And a lot of humans, from what I can tell, don't really have that either. The only thing they have issues with is the dub changes, and that's not particularly the voice actor's fault. I feel like these performances also turned out really good because American actors and just Americans didn't really know what anime was, so they weren't really trying to match the anime style or tried to put the Japanese voice acting style in like an American tone or delivery, I guess. So it just kind of made it sound like a Western cartoon. Yes, there are some anime tropes here and there, but I think the ignorance to this particular media and voice acting style is the reason why the dub holds up all these years later. Also, let's not forget to honor Rachel Willis and Maddie Blaustein. Maddie was the voice of Meowth and a very seasoned voice actor in other 4Kids properties and just other things. And at the time of writing this, Rachel passed away pretty recently. I just wanted to say thank you to both of them for making so many childhoods. I get emotional looking at it and talking about it because they really shouldn't be gone, but their legacy will live on in the hearts of genuinely millions of fans. Now we have the last two I personally want to talk about, One Piece and Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't really have much defense for either one of these. Like, okay, I guess One Piece did have some good things. Like, in my opinion, Erica Schroeder's Luffy voice really does fit the character very well.
That's different! I bet it's a laser!
I bet you're wrong.
Something that's really cool is a lot of these actors voiced in multiple shows at the studio. So, for example, Jason Griffith, yes, the voice of Sonic like we talked about earlier, ended up voicing this dub's version of Usopp.
To go. And why shouldn't I be? Did you get a look at the size of those rabbits, Zolo?
Or, in my opinion, fun stuff like Veronica Taylor, who ended up giving Nico Robin this southern accent, which I think is pretty cool because when a character in anime has a southern accent, in dubs they usually don't do that. So, I'm not saying Nico does, but I think this needs to be done a lot more.
So what's the deal with Zolo? How does a pirate hunter get mixed up with a bunch of pirates? I get it. Not his day job.
And not all of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Performances were bad. In my opinion, somebody like Megan Holdingshed as My Valentine was really good. But yeah, other than a few of those performances, unless it's nostalgia or nostalgic, I can really understand why fans don't like the voices, and on top of that, the dub changes, Jelly Donuts, Shadow Realms. Yeah, it can get pretty difficult to enjoy it. The last defense or compliment that I'll give to the voice acting and actors in general is the voices themselves. At the end of the day, these shows were for kids. Western American kids at that, and giving these characters very distinct voices didn't work all the time, but when it did, it literally made for some of the most iconic English dub performances of anime, honestly. Like I said, the voice of Misty and Brock sound absolutely nothing like Jesse and James, and I also will say in defense that these actors may have not fully known what they were working with, but oh man, did they try their hardest in every single performance. Never once did I feel like in any of these shows that the actors were just kind of saying the lines or phoning it in, as they say. That is not the case. Every single one of them is giving every single thing they have for this thing that they know nothing about. This one, I'm pretty much taking no questions on. I mean, we can look at other anime dubs and dub scores and know that they can truly be hit or miss, don't get me wrong. That's one thing that modern anime fans really have over every single era, because pretty much no matter what, you're getting the original openings and endings and scores that were used, or that are used, in their original languages. But because of that, I feel like English openings or re-scores and stuff like that is kind of a lost art. Unless it's a really big show like Dragon Ball or One Piece, or maybe Pokemon, it probably isn't going to get an English dub or cut. And even then, it has to be on something like Toonami or just wherever Pokemon is airing nowadays. One of the only ones that I can remember, like recently, was when Dragon Ball Super was going through the Tournament of Power. And when it was airing on Toonami, they had an official English cover of Limit Break Survivor, and it was really good. Then of course you have the dub scores. Pretty much none of these shows had the original scores from the Japanese composers. And I don't even know how to describe it. A lot of them ended up having this quirky feel to them, almost again like they were going for a Western Saturday morning cartoon. The best you were going to get would be certain instruments would show up when certain characters showed up on screen, like Rouge and Sonic X. Anytime that she showed up, you guys know that saxophone was gonna go insane. But with that said, this isn't a bad thing. In fact, to quote Sasha exactly,
4Kids would also create their own soundtracks for the shows they dubbed instead of using the original scores or recording English versions of the original songs. They would claim this was done to westernize the shows more, but it's highly likely that it was mainly done so that they could sell the soundtracks for the shows they dubbed and keep 100% of the profits. I won't lie, they did know how to make a bop.
the One Piece theme, or as it's more known as the pirate rap, is genuinely so hype. I'm not saying it's better or more iconic than something like We Are, but to get some American kids hype in the early 2000s for a show about pirates, this pretty much sealed the deal. And all of them didn't even necessarily stick with one genre when it came to the openings. Switching over to something like Sonic X, you literally switched to this almost pop-punk anime rock opening with Gotta Go Fast. And yes, it's catchy. Or something with no lyrics like Yu-Gi-Oh! This one going for more of a pop rock upbeat opening. And literally, undisputedly, one of the most iconic anime openings came from WB Kids with the Pokemon opening. Going back to what I said earlier, I'm kind of sad that this is almost a forgotten thing nowadays, because this opening literally encapsulates everything that Pokemon is, not only for Western audiences, but just period. In my opinion, you cannot make a top 10 anime opening list and not put this one here. But then we switch to something like Kirby's Right Back At Ya. I mean, look at this. We literally go from this pop electronic music with some rock elements to Kirby's Right Back At Ya, which is like a swing-inspired anime opening. 4Kids and Fox Kids really did an amazing job at making these catchy, upbeat, and memorable openings. And no, I didn't forget about you either, Winx Clubs fans. That one was awesome too. In the early days, you just couldn't hit general anime fans, especially children, with these Japanese openings and endings. Not saying they were bad at all, far from it. I just don't think they could have handled it. It had to start somewhere, but now that we're literally 20 plus Earth years removed from this, we can appreciate the dub openings for what they are.
He loves them just as much as you, even though he's millions of light years away. A new perspective is here.
Now, personally, I think this one's the best. And if you disagree, well, everybody has their opinion.
Heart Talks Games, only on Pilaf Entertainment.
Pilaf.
Okay, hear me out for the last time, please. Look, we've said it all across the video, but we know that anime in the late 90s and the early 2000s were just different. Like we talked about with music, I don't think that Western audiences were ready, especially children, for what all of Japanese culture really was. They could have been introduced to it, yes, but I don't think they were really ready to accept it like they do now. Some things that they did back then make absolute sense to me. This is even where I have to show some love to one of my favorite dubs of all time. I guess it's more of an infamous dub, but the Deke dub of Sailor Moon. While of course I don't agree with everything that they did, even down to doing stuff like changing characters' genders, changing something like Usagi to Serena was just more palatable to Western audiences at the time. Even to go to something as iconic as Pokemon, Western children really weren't ready for names like Satoshi, Kasumi, and Takashi. At the time, having these characters just be named Ash, Misty, and Brock worked better. Now, do I believe that they should have gone as far as changing rice balls to jelly donuts? No, not necessarily. But once again, going back to Sasha's video, seriously, go check it out, she talks about how 4Kids at some points wouldn't even watch the properties that they were acquiring. The biggest one, for example, being One Piece. Yes, they literally bought One Piece, not only one of the biggest shonen, but biggest anime properties of all time, and didn't watch it. So when they started to see the guns, smoking, and all the other things, they had to do heavy censorship. And this kind of goes back to the whole thing that CEOs just feel like everything animated was for children. And because of this, we did get some things that stuck, like more palatable names, music, and all the things that worked for Western audiences. But this came with heavy censorship and changes, and sometimes made it not even close to what the original was. That's why this section is very short, because for the most part, these weren't great. But some of these things literally did help with the start of what the Western anime boom was gonna be.
Laugh.